My name is Jeremy, and I need you to believe me when I say this. What happened in the fall of 2019 wasn't a dream, wasn't a hallucination, and definitely wasn't a game. I was there. I saw what happened. I felt it breathing just inches from my face. It started when my friend Rick stumbled on an old thread buried in the depths of Reddit, one of those forums with less than 10 comments, a yellowed photo of a ruined church, and a single user warning: do not go to Desmarais Hollow. That was the first time I heard the name. Desmarais Hollow, a so-called ghost town in the Sierra Nevada mountains, supposedly erased from every official record. No GPS coordinates, no marked trails, no historical documents. Just old rumors about settlers disappearing in the 1800s, and an entire mining community that vanished without a trace. But of course, too, for young adults looking for an authentic off-the-grid experience, it sounded like the perfect place to camp. We packed light tents, food, a water purifier, a portable GPS, solar chargers. There were 4 of us: me, Rick, my girlfriend Lena, and Daniel, the quiet one who knew how to track animals and build fire from wet leaves. We left Sacramento early in the morning, took Highway 50 into the mountains, then turned onto a dirt road Rick had marked on a printout map from an old hiking blog. The deeper we drove, the worse the road became, eventually forcing us to hike the final stretch with our packs. For nearly 3 hours, we pushed through thick pine undergrowth, through fog that clung unnaturally low, as if it didn't want us to see what lay ahead. Then, just when I began to think we were lost, we stepped into a clearing, and there it was, or what was left of it, Desmarais Hollow. No welcome sign, no pavement. Just the skeletal remains of collapsed wooden houses, broken wells, and a red brick church half buried in moss and time. It looked ancient, but something was wrong. The trees around it grew tall and twisted, but none had broken through the old foundations. It was as if the earth itself had been held back. The grass, dead and yellow, never crossed certain lines, as if obeying invisible borders. We set up camp near the church, using the stone foundation of a collapsed home as windbreak. Lena wandered around, taking photos of rusted tools and wooden beams blackened by rot. That's when she found it. A bone-wine chime, tangled in the branches of a dying tree. The bones were too small to be from animals, and they had symbols carved into them, twisting, almost claw-like shapes that seemed to twitch when you weren't looking. We assumed it was a prop left by some edgy urban explorers. We were wrong. That night, Rick claimed he heard footsteps circling the tents around 3 a.m. Soft, slow, deliberate steps, as if something barefoot was pacing in the dark. But when he stepped out with the flashlight, nothing was there. Just fog and the silent woods. The next night, Daniel was the one who changed. Around 2:45 a.m., he sat up in his sleeping bag, eyes wide open, and walked out of the tent. No shoes, no flashlight. I followed him halfway, calling his name, but the fog had grown so thick it swallowed sound. An hour later, just before sunrise, he returned. He didn't speak, he didn't blink. His skin was pale, lips blue, and his feet were torn, bleeding from deep gashes as if dragged across broken glass. When we asked what happened, he just whispered, "She was calling me." That morning, we decided to leave. But the GPS was dead, the compass spun aimlessly, and the trail we followed to get here, gone. The trees had closed in, as if we'd never passed through. The forest looked different now, taller, hungrier. We split up to search for a path. Lena said she'd try climbing a small ridge to look for a signal. 10 minutes later, we heard her scream, sharp and short, cut off like a radio losing signal. We ran. We found only her phone, shattered on a rock. No blood, no footprints. Only a clump of her long, black hair caught in the bark of a pine tree. Rick lost it. He punched Daniel, accused him of bringing something back with him from the night before. Daniel didn't even flinch. He just stared off into the fog, lips moving in that same whispery rhythm. That night, we locked ourselves inside the church. The walls were damp. The air smelled of mildew and ash. But it was the only building with a door we could bar shut. As night fell, the fog thickened outside until the windows turned completely white. Then came the voices, first one, then many, whispers, laughs, pleas. They overlapped, echoing from the trees like a choir of the damned. They spoke in a language none of us knew, yet somehow, it scraped against the inside of my skull like I should understand. Rick began crying. Daniel was catatonic, and I stood by the window and saw it. A figure, impossibly tall, crawling on all fours across the clearing. Its limbs were long and bony, stretching like spider legs, elbows and knees bending wrong. Its back was arched, skin pulled tight like wet parchment, no eyes, just two black hollows, leaking greenish light. It moved without sound. It knew we were watching. It circled the church slowly, claws dragging across stone. Then Rick snapped. He threw the door open and ran into the fog, screaming Lena's name. I shouted, tried to chase, but by the time I reached the threshold he was gone. Not a single footprint. Only silence. No screams, no struggle. Just gone. Daniel and I didn't sleep. We stayed in the corner of the church, listening to the whispers grow louder, louder, until the building itself seemed to breathe. Then came the knock. 1, 2, 3. Soft, deliberate. I didn't move. Daniel's eyes rolled back. He whispered something, again and again. The bones remember. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours. Maybe days. Time broke apart. The fog outside never lifted. The light never changed. It was always twilight. Always dusk. Then I blinked and Daniel was gone. No sound. No movement. Just the echo of breath fading from the air. I wandered outside, numb. No fear left. No tears. Only silence. That's when I found the trapdoor beneath the altar. It wasn't there before. The stone had been pushed aside. I climbed down. The air was cold, metallic, full of rot and dust. Candles burned though no one had lit them. Skulls lined the walls, hundreds of them, stacked like offerings. In the center charred bones. Human bones, arranged in a spiral, and on every surface, carved in deep, gouged lines, were those same symbols, the ones from the chime. They glowed faintly, and then ... it spoke, not with words, not with sound, but in my head. It showed me a town, a cult, a ritual, blood spilled on black soil. A spirit buried alive and fed with fear for generations. It told me that Desmarais Hollow had never been forgotten, only sealed, and now the seal was broken. Every soul that entered the hollow fed it, and I was the last. I woke up 30 kilometers away, half naked, collapsed near a ranger's cabin. They found me muttering in a language no one could translate. They said I was delirious. They didn't believe me. They searched the area. No ruins, no church. Just forest, and touched. No one has ever found Desmarais Hollow again. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear the chime, still see her face in the mirror, still smell ash, and I know it's only waiting. Waiting for someone else to step into the fog.